All right, let's get into it. We need to talk about a movie that everyone's been waiting for, a character that is absolutely iconic, and a production that has been completely stuck in what you can only call development hell. Yep, we are talking about Marvel's Blade. So you probably saw Deadpool and Wolverine, right? And you heard that amazing line from the one and only original Daywalker, Wesley Snipes. It was this perfect, hilarious meta joke, totally poking fun at the super delayed reboot that's supposed to star Mahershala Ali. I mean, think about it. Snipes literally beat him to the punch. He got back on the big screen as Blade before Ali's version even had a chance to roll cameras. And that right there, that's the big mystery we're going to try and solve today. How on earth did a project with a two-time Oscar winner and just a mountain of fan excitement turn into one of the most famously troubled productions in Marvel's history? What went wrong? So, to really get why everyone's so frustrated, we've got to rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, back when the hype for this thing was just off the charts. Okay, I want you to picture this. It's San Diego Comic-Con 2019. The energy in that room is electric. And then Mahershala Ali walks out on stage and just casually puts on a Blade hat. The place just erupted. And the promise, oh man, the promise was huge. We were finally getting a worthy successor to Wesley Snipes. And the early buzz, it was all about an R-rated movie, something really gritty and dark, kind of like what we got with Logan. It felt like an absolute, no doubt about it home run. And this quote right here from the head of Marvel himself, Kevin Feige, really tells you everything you need to know. He basically said, look, we're not just going to slap a leather outfit on Ali and have him kill vampires. They wanted to do something totally new, something unique. And, you have to admire that ambition. But that same ambition might just be what set the stage for all the chaos that was about to unfold. Okay, so let's talk about the first amazing version of this movie that we almost got to see. This was the original, super ambitious plan for bringing Blade into the MCU. For the longest time, this was just a rumor floating around on the internet. But it turned out to be true. The very first real take on the script was a period piece set in the 1920s. Just stop and imagine that for a second. Blade the Daywalker, stalking vampires through smoky jazz clubs and the back alleys of Prohibition-era America. I mean, how cool does that sound? It sounds incredible. Of course, every great hero needs an equally great villain, right? And for this version, they got an absolute modern horror icon, Mia Goth. She was cast to play Lilith. And if you know the comics, you know Lilith is no joke. She's not just some random vampire. She's a Daywalker, just like Blade. And get this, she's Dracula's daughter. Yeah, the stakes were high. And to make things even more intense, the script brought in a character straight from the recent comics, someone we've never seen on screen before, Blade's own daughter, Belle Brooks. The whole plot revolved around Lilith trying to get her hands on Belle's blood. So right away, you've got this deeply personal motivation for Blade. This wasn't just some monster hunt. This was about a father protecting his child. Man, this quote really drives home how much potential this version of the film had. You can almost hear the excitement and then the disappointment in Mia Goth's voice. They had everything lined up. A star with a clear vision, a powerful story, a fantastic villain. And then, well, that's when it all just started to unravel. So the big question is, how did such a great idea completely fall apart? Well, it all comes down to one thing, just constant, chaotic changes happening behind the curtain. I mean, just take a look at this timeline. It is the textbook definition of development hell. Things kick off in 2021 with a director and writer. A year later, by 2022, they're both gone. A new director comes in. Then in 2023, they bring on a whole bunch of new writers, including Nick Pizzolatto, the guy who created True Detective, whom Mahershala Ali personally wanted. But that's also the moment the whole 1920s idea gets thrown out the window. And sure enough, by 2024, the second director leaves. Right now, as we speak, this movie has no director. And it wasn't just the writers and directors. This kind of creative chaos creates ripples. The amazing Delroy Lindo and Aaron Pierre, both incredible actors, they walked away from the project. Even the composer, the legendary Grammy-winning Flying Lotus, announced he was out. The project was just hemorrhaging talent left and right. Now, all these changes didn't just mess up the movie itself. They also completely wrecked the plan for how Blade was supposed to fit into the bigger Marvel Cinematic Universe. A bunch of cool connections were planned and, well, now they're just gone. Do you remember that post-credit scene at the very end of Eternals, when Kit Harington's character is about to touch that sword, and you hear a voice say, "Sure, you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman"? That was Mahershala Ali as Blade. That scene was a direct, 100% intentional setup for this movie. In fact, one of the later scripts was supposed to have the Black Knight in a major role, digging deep into the lore of his cursed sword, the Ebony Blade. So you can see this creative tug of war happening in real time. The movie went from this really personal, horror-style 1920s story about a father protecting his daughter to a totally different thing, a modern-day fantasy adventure about a magical cursed sword. I mean, we're talking about two completely different films. And now, both of those ideas are in the trash. Okay, so after all of this, the delays, the rewrites, all the amazing ideas that got thrown away, you gotta ask the question, what's next for Mahershala Ali's Blade? Are we ever actually going to see him? Well, one of the big theories floating around is that Marvel might just give up on the solo movie for now. The new idea could be to introduce Blade as part of a bigger team-up, pulling together all their supernatural heroes. In the comics, that team is called the Midnight Suns. You can basically think of them as the supernatural version of the Avengers. And if you think about it, Marvel's already done a lot of the heavy lifting here. We've already been introduced to all these other characters in the MCU, thanks to the Disney Plus shows and specials. So bringing them all together with Blade as, like, the cornerstone of the team, it would be a pretty smart way to finally get him on screen, without all the pressure of trying to nail a solo movie that has just been impossible to get off the ground. Which brings us right back to the million-dollar question. After all these years of waiting, is Mahershala Ali's Blade finally going to get that solo movie he was promised way back in 2019? Or is his big debut going to happen as part of a team? A major player for sure, but still part of an ensemble in the MCU's spooky supernatural corner. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.